fringe news outlets have been screaming that the U.S. made them. And while that sure sounds like an accusation held together with lots of questions and no answers, others besides conspiracy theorists have arrived at this conclusion, like the Washington Post. In an article, the Post outlines very clearly how the U.S. has both trained and armed ISIS for decades now.
Recruits crawl through simulated barbed wire with trainers firing at them.
Most feared terrorists in the world.
This terrorist army.
Seizing control of city after city.
We've never seen anything like this.
This is Al-Qaeda times 2.
Even Al-Qaeda says ISIS is too violent.
They're bloodthirsty, radical Islamic jihadists. ISIS is pure evil.
ISIS is like a cancer.
Looks like they're unstoppable.
Likewise, our thoughts and prayers remain also with the family and friends of Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent, who was killed earlier this week by an ISIL-inspired terrorist.
One of the reasons why ISIS has been emboldened is because we've been arming their allies. We have been allied with ISIS in Syria.
Sadly, some of those ISIL or ISIS, as the BBC called them, IS fighters, unfortunately, they were actually trained by the CIA in camps in Jordan. I mean, Afghanistan repeating the mistake again.
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else.
U.S. National Security Advisor Brzezinski flew to Pakistan to set about rallying resistance. He wanted to arm the mujahideen without revealing America's role.
We know of their deep belief in God, and we are confident that their struggle will succeed.
This is a fortress, a complex, multi-tiered, bedrooms and offices on the top, as you can see, secret exits. It's a very sophisticated operation.
Oh, you bet. This is serious business, and there's not one of those. There are many of those.
The Americans now began to search all the caves in all the mountains of eastern Afghanistan for the hidden Al-Qaeda network. But wherever they looked, there was nothing there. Al-Qaeda seemed to have completely disappeared. But then, the British arrived to help. They were convinced they could hunt down Al-Qaeda because of what they said was their unique experience in fighting terrorism in Northern Ireland.
The hunt for Al-Qaeda and Taliban goes on. And we stand shoulder to shoulder with the United States and our other coalition allies in the global war of terrorism.
But how many Al-Qaeda have you captured?
We haven't captured any Al-Qaeda, but...
And how many have you actually managed to kill here in southeast Afghanistan?
We haven't killed any.
The terrible truth was that there was nothing there because Al-Qaeda as an organization did not exist.
This is a network that has penetrated into some 60 countries, including very definitely our own.
Bit by bit, the government found the network.
We've thwarted terrorists in Buffalo, in Seattle, Portland, Detroit, North Carolina, and Tampa, Florida.
They all have a common and reprehensible thread. They were planned, plotted, controlled, and carried out by the federal government itself. In all of these 17 cases, from the Fort Dix 6 to the Lackawanna 7 to the Portland parade bomber, the feds found young men of Muslim backgrounds, loners who were bitter at America. They befriended them, cajoled them, and persuaded them that they could change the world by killing Americans. In all these cases, agents worked undercover and portrayed themselves to the targets as Arabs of like un-American mind. The defendants were essentially charged and convicted for playing a game with federal agents. But none of this keeps us safe.
The CIA makes the mafia look like a Sunday school class. I mean, this is the problem with what's actually happening in Afghanistan. Look, the CIA has done in this country, what they've done to us is unbelievable. Look at the terrorist acts that have occurred. The CIA behind most, if not all of them. We had the Marine Barracks. We had our embassy in Kenya. We had Pan Am 103. We had the USS Cole. We had Oklahoma City. We had the World Trade Center in 1993.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's name names. John Antiseth,
So here's a guy who's involved in setting up the World Trade Center for to be blown up, and it resulted in the deaths of six individuals, over 1,000 injured, millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars, yeah.
And
in debt property damage.
Right.
The U.S. has dumped billions of dollars in weapons, training, and supplies into the Middle East. And ISIS now has so much money and weaponry that it rivals Israel for being the most capable military power in the region. So you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to know that at least some of the U.S.'s massive training and funding in the Middle East has gone directly to ISIS. So call them whatever you want. This latest terrorist group is largely made in the USA.